All right. Anywho, elves. We have this archetype has a number of cards from both Jumpstart and do we have Amonkhet remastered cards here? No, this is mostly just Jumpstart and what's it called? Historic anthologies. So we've got Archdruid, Dwynen's Elite, and Allosaurus Shepherd here as elves that we can. Oh, Company, right? That's the one that makes it. Collected Company is an Amonkhet remastered card. So this is a card that helps you have a higher density of your cards that matter most to you. So, we have 12 cards here that give all of our elves +1/+1. But with Collected Company, we kind of have more than 12, right? Like we see them more consistently. Castle Garenbrig is a card that looks a little bit strange here in our deck with only Craterhoof Behemoth. However, note that this says it can be used for creature activated abilities as well. So Castle Garenbrig can actually let us use Allosaurus Shepherd when we're land shy, because Allosaurus Shepherd's ability costs 6 mana. We got a couple of Finale of Devastation here as a ramp payoff with Archdruid. We have a Singleton Craterhoof Behemoth that it can fetch up as well. So hopefully we can fade some Ugins today and some other sweepers, and we'll see how this goes. First time playing elves since Collected Company's been to the format. Yeah, it looks like we dropped about a third of the viewers when I restarted my connection, which is about average. Dropped from 1100 down to 800. Hopefully it won't take too long to bounce back up. And Heritage Druid would be too strong for a strike. I have no idea. Probably not. Hard to tell. It's a really powerful ramp card. Yeah, lots of things smash Field of the Dead. The only thing that's not good against Field of the Dead is the salty tears of players on Reddit and Twitter. Yeah, they only ban Field. I think my favorite takes was there were a couple of Magic players that were pro Nexus of Fate, but they were anti Field of the Dead. And at that point, it really just stood out in my mind as well, you just want the cards you want to be legal and don't actually care about how anything feels. Sure, lose our Collected Company here. Ooh, that's a good one. I think I just do this. If we get this down, Imperious Perfect, and start pumping out tokens here. Probably going to be a lot of cats and ovens floating around the corners of the format now, I'd imagine. It's one of the powerful things left legal still. You have a full Rune Terrace bill yet. I don't believe we get the full one until tomorrow, Jin. Rather than play Goose out, I'm just going to activate Imperious Perfect. The O2 is not really doing anything for me at the moment. I'd rather continue advancing my board. Rothskeller, thanks for 13 months. The best way our aggro deck can beat Cauldron Familiar here is by going wide around it. Although I suppose if I put the Goose into play, I could activate Allosaurus Shepherd next turn. I have no idea, Fun City. If we believe Wizards of the Coast, and there's no real reason not to believe them, is they said while Field of the Dead didn't have didn't have an oppressive win rate, it was the most played deck, which feels like a really wild precedent to set. So they basically said that you should never play the most played deck because they're gonna ban the most played deck out of the format consistently. Is what that feels like to me. Like, okay, we're done using power level for metrics. We're done using quality of play. We're just going to say, okay, the most popular deck, just ban it, please. I wonder, it'd be nice if they could give us a timeline on how often they plan to ban the most popular deck. Ace Crusher, thanks for the 10 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I'm gonna leave Shepherd back. I definitely want to, I don't want to trade this for 2 cats. I want to be able to activate it next turn. This is only elves, right? Yeah, each elf creature you control. Most popular deck with polarizing matchups. I mean, like, there are so many polarizing decks, though. So, like, if we want to ban things that are polarizing, why don't we ban Muxus, too? Like, these non-rotating formats are full of polarizing matchups, and if eliminating polarizing matchups is your goal, okay, then achieve that goal. Ban Uro. Like, ramp decks are still going to have polarizing matchups. That's how Magic works. So, like, sure, if that's the goal, we want to get rid of polarizing matchups. Okay, great. That's a reasonable goal. Now, actually do it. Get off your ass and do it. Don't half-ass it. Yeah, the Auras deck has incredibly polarizing matchups. Big agree there. It slaughters or gets slaughtered most of the time. Magic, especially with the design of the last couple of years, just like has a ton of very polarizing things. All right, what are we doing here? Do I want Rec Sage against their deck? Maybe. Craterhoof seems fine. I probably don't want one big Wildborn Preserver if they're going to be bouncing cats in and out. Maybe I trim Goose, just become a little bit more interactive, like board in Scoos and Rec Sage. Need 2 more cuts here. It's Finale of Devastation. I guess this fetches up Rec Sage, which is nice, though. Maybe I trim 2 of my Lords. Let's try this. I probably want to keep Clan... No, I'm gonna bottom that. I think these 2 Lords are better. Although I guess Clancaller with this is nice. If they kill my elf on 1, I can still Scoos on 2. Yeah. Yeah, in a way, not even in a way, Field of the Dead had very real drawbacks with it, right? Like, the ramp decks are going to have more consistent mana. They're going to hit their 5 drops on 5 way more consistently now. Maybe I'm supposed to play Archdruid there. I wanted to lead on Imperious Perfect, just so if they're able to sacrifice 2 things. I'd rather this die than this. It's close, though. Alright, so they messed that up. Sam H. Live, thank you for the brand new Prime Support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Oglandia. If my opponent had saved their other Fabled Passage, we'd be in an incredible spot. Or we'd be in an awful spot, but we're in an okay spot because they didn't. And like, and again, like, talking about you want to talk about, and this is why just like, I don't understand the incredible inconsistencies with their thing. Okay, if your goal is to address polarizing matchups, had they not played a creature deck against Cat Oven and Mayhem Devil? Like, playing creature decks against Claim the Firstborn? Like, this is incredibly polarizing, right? I really feel like when they say stuff like that, they're just incredibly missing the mark, because their game is filled with these things. And like, that's fine, but it's like a feature of the game. So like, don't be like, okay, we're getting rid of this thing because it's polarizing, and then ignore all these other things that are also just incredibly polarizing. I think after thinking about Mayhem Devil, I'm going to trade Clancaller for Perfect, because this is an X1, which makes it a little bit of a liability. Maybe I want these Primal Mights there, because killing their Mayhem Devil seems pretty important. Yeah, it definitely feels like they let themselves get bullied into making a decision. As an outsider looking in, it looks like they let themselves get bullied into making a decision. Alright, let's draw a land on turn 2, huh? Jiminy, thank you for the 3/4 of a year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Alright, second shot at a land before we just die to the resource system. I guess we get a redraw next turn. Their start slow at least. Land, please. I don't think it's wrong to keep my hand. My hand's very good if we hit a single land. We had the cantrip as redraw. I know it feels bad to miss with a hand like this, but missing with a hand like this doesn't make it wrong to keep. Yeah, the historic tournaments that we had seen so far did not show Field of the Dead being an overwhelming win rate. While it won the Hoglandia Open, it was the most played deck there, and it didn't have anywhere close to the highest win rate among the decks that were played. I wonder if we're going to see him claim the Firstborn, because again here, these matches are incredibly polarizing. These creature decks just get slaughtered by these Claim the Firstborn decks. It's just how it works. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's mostly on me, right? Like, I've been experiencing how Wizards manages their formats for, you know, going on 6 years, their mismanagement of Modern over the course of its time span. Like, it's really not surprising the same people that made those types of decisions in Modern are making similar types of decisions here in Historic now. That's been really sweet. That's one of the things that's always excited me about fully digital games, where they're able to, like, tweak numbers and stuff. It's refreshing to be able to see that be a possibility, instead of just, like, throwing the wrong things in the garbage cans over and over again. Yeah, I think that could very likely be the case, X. I think if the Claim the Firstborn decks become popular, which they're likely to, I think this archetype's probably just not playable. Like, a lot of the things that are likely to exist now are just gonna, like, devour what we're doing. We're probably not good against like Grixis sweeper decks. Alright, well, they're missing their land drop, so if they brick again, they're dead. Alright, well, this is my idea of trying to generate card advantage post-board. Heroic Intervention isn't even useful here because their sweepers are likely to be Languish, Cry, and the even odd sweepers. This isn't useful to bring in. I can probably trim Goose when I go up on things that increase threat density overall. This is good. Let's try this. Howdy, Quintavis. This archetype would love Elvish Mystic. We'll get that. We'll get that one eventually as Pioneer cards come in. I would expect Elvish Mystic's going to be added in the fall with Pioneer Remastered. How did I find Subnautica? It wasn't really a game that I enjoyed. It was very, very similar to Factorio in that it just, like, kind of threw you into a thing and didn't really give you much guidance. I definitely prefer a more guided video game experience. Or, like, if it's going to be open world, I prefer something like Skyrim or Morrowind, the Bethesda games, where it kind of, like, lets you pick which goals you want to work on. Lead on Perfect here. Nah, we didn't get super far into it. I played for like an hour. Yeah, the Minecraft style games really just aren't for me. I'm gonna try Baldur's Gate 3 when it comes out. I have no idea. Mertzahassan, thanks for the 2.5 years. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I think I'm just going wide here. Yeah, Twitch viewer account's currently bugged. You can find reactions to the bans on Twitter. You can also type !! bans in chat. Well, that's super punishing. Any suggestions for selling out of paper? I'd recommend checking out Cool Stuff Inc., who's my sponsor, as well as the other large sites. They should have all their buy lists posted online. Just selling stuff out of buy lists is definitely the most convenient way to do it. I think even with seeing Ritualist set, I'm not supposed to board this in. There's just too big of a chance of that not being the sweeper that they draw. These matches don't tend to have a lot of interesting back and forth counterplay to them. They're mostly me asking the question of, do you have it? And if they don't, like in the first game, if they stumble a little bit, they just die. If they do have it, they blow us out and we can't recover most of the time. Sometimes Collected Company can give a little bit of play through to the sweeper, but if they're like, have multiple sweepers, we definitely just die without much play. Sure. So every time Harbinger hits the opponent, we get to look for a creature, which is nice. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing against specifically Grixis, Ormsbegor, I think you're correct that that's a fine card to have access to. But again, it's like you're always just picking and choosing and hoping that your stuff lines up okay into their interaction. Nothing that you play is always going to be ideal. I'm playing Garruk's Harbinger as a card that's kind of similar to Lead the Stampede. It generates card advantage for me, but this is a card that I can find with Collected Company, so it fits a little bit better. Oh, this is where the magic happens, chat. This is where the magic happens. T-Master Ray, thanks for the 15 months. Welcome back. This is the part where they go land Ritualist it, and we just die. Ooh, just a nickel plus. Okay, God bless. You know, I'm probably supposed to play this pre-combat there, actually, and get in some extra points. Does a fetch land reprint due this year? Yeah, but it's going to be in a non-standard legal product. They said we're getting fetch land reprints. Or did the what's it called count? We technically got a fetch land reprint, right? That happened already. Yeah, the secret lair. It's probably the game. Gosh, what a polarizing set of games. I'm glad Wizards has taken a harsh stance against polarizing sets of games in Magic the Gathering. Alright, what's our sequence to win here? We can Collected Company into Archdruid and then dump mana from Archdruid into a Finale. Maybe. Yeah, if we hit 2 Archdruids off of this, we really high roll. That assumes that no discard spell comes off the top here, though, which seems ambitious. We just choose the ones that let me go wide here. It's hard to go wide around the Scarab God, though. This is going to start making 2 things per turn. If I attack with everything, they go block, block, block. And they take 8 and go to 3. Chinga Ninja, thank you for the 27 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I'm not even sure hitting a 6 mana next turn is enough, right? Because they're going to flip this. And they'll have 5 blockers to my... Is that good enough? That might be good enough. Well, because we'll have... these will still be getting +1/+1. So it would be... Yeah, I think a land is still lethal, assuming they have no interaction. As Archetype would love Shaman of the Pack. We're going to get that one eventually via Pioneer as well. What? How incredibly fun and interesting and not at all polarizing. How'd the combo deck go earlier? It did not feel particularly good. I think the Abzan variation of Citadel is not the optimal color combination. This is probably a mulligan, right? It's just very slow. This is much better. Hey, thanks for the 25 months, pizza. So just for clarity's sake, the I think I'm just getting another elf here. I think I'm just getting another Llanowar elf here and getting my ramp on. The Runeterra tournament that I got invited to is a community run thing for that game. The spoiler card that they gave me last night was official support though. So. Yeah, it looks like this opponent's playing the Citadel deck. Elves might not be a super long set, chat. Thanks for the third of a year, Double. I appreciate that. Welcome back. If you thought about not hitting the bad matchups like most of them, there's the big brain play. Just ignore the bad matchups. Someone asked about my spoiler card in specific decks. One, this is a Targon card, and two, the Celestial cards that me and other creators in that game spoiled are not collectible cards. They're generated cards, so you can't actually put them directly into your deck, if that makes sense. Yeah, there's a mechanic called Invoke that they introduced that you will invoke cards based on certain criteria, and you'll pick from one of 3 cards generated from the Celestial card pool that meet the criteria. So like the Orion Sol, the dragon champion that they spoiled, it will invoke a card that explicitly costs a certain amount of mana, or more, 7 or more mana, I think it is. So you'll get presented 3 choices from the Celestial cards that cost 7 or more, basically. 1 mana short of activating this. I think I'm actually just playing this for the turn, and then hoping to activate this next turn. I can't attack in here, because they're going to collect a company, so we're just going to pass. It's similar to Discover from Hearthstone, except you're not discovering from the regular card pool. Yeah, it feels like a better tuned version of that. There's a very specific card pool that you're discovering from, basically. Definitely feels like we looked at this mechanic that Hearthstone did and we tried to do a less swingy variation of it. No, they almost certainly have red mana, just not a lot of it. They're a base green block deck. Yeah, Runeterra definitely feels like a game made by designers that are like exercising their lessons learned from other card games. I only have 1 card left here, so we just like fade away for them to sacrifice things. We're in a good spot, but if they find a way to sacrifice something, we're gonna die real quick. I don't want to trade Allosaurus Shepherd for Mayhem Devil, so I think I'm just attacking with these 3. Actually, maybe I'm going to play this Llanowar Elf out this turn. Yeah, let's just smash him. Hey, Lee Moon Civi, thank you for the biddies. I really appreciate that. Hope you're staying safe out there wherever you're at. Welcome, welcome. So they are just hoping to draw something to let some sacrifice here. Woe Strider would put us thoroughly in the ground. I think I'm happy with how we boarded. Oh, you know what? Primal Might's a card I should be bringing in against their Mayhem Devil deck. I missed that. Yeah, I should have brought in Primal Might for game 2. Corgis for life. Thanks to the Court of Year. I appreciate the Prime support. Welcome back. I don't think you can always mulligan for Llanowar Elves. We only have 4 of them. I think if we had Elvish Mystic and we had 8 1-mana accelerators, I'd mulligan more aggressively for them in my opening 7, but I think with only 4 to 6 of them, that's not enough to. Morning, Celery Stone. Yeah, Twitch is having some issues displaying proper viewer counts. It keeps bouncing back and forth between showing 3 and the actual number. Why are there so many Corgi-themed usernames? Probably something to do with millennials. Sure, there's a headline somewhere about millennials canceling dogs of other breeds. Do we just Primal Might this priest? I feel like I want to Primal Might this priest, huh? I'm going to play Scavenging Ooze and do that. I guess I could play Dwynen's Elite and do that. And then I can play a Lord next turn and have a bunch of them be bigger. Won't they activate in response? Yeah, I'm playing another creature out here. Corgis are the natural complement to avocados and toast. Dr. Jezen, thanks for 3/4 of a year. Welcome back. And then something like a Heartless Act or Eliminate or a Grass Spear, we could see them activate and then kill my Dwynen's Elite in response. I think I'd be okay with that. Oh, they're just sacking it, sure. Dialorino. If we can dodge Mayhem Devil, we can dodge a ball, chat. Jen Rand, thanks for the 19 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. All right, if they don't do anything again here, Archdruid lets us get super linear. Our deck seems super reasonable when our opponents aren't interacting with us. It's when they start to pick us apart that our weak average card quality really comes back to bite us. Hopefully they don't just play Citadel and kill us here, he said wistfully. Attacking last turn is also valuable because we can potentially pressure them off that. So this is where we cross our fingers, clench our butt cheeks, and hope for the best. They draw something to let them sack my Archdruid. That's what I thought sees. So they're going to 1 here, so they should be dead, right? I'm gonna get my thing back. Yeah, big agree. This archetype was probably one of the many decks in Historic that probably had a really reasonable Field of the Dead matchup, because, like, if Field of the Dead's just leaving you alone for the first 3 to 4 turns, our deck puts a lot of power into play in a very, very strong linear manner. It was very, very easy for good decks to race Field of the Dead, good linear decks. Has Coco felt good in this archetype? I mean, it is good in this archetype. The question isn't, has Coco felt good? The question is Collected Company enough to make up for the low average card quality in my deck that's trying to be synergistic? That's the question you really want to ask. Because Collected Company is definitely great. Is it great enough to pull the room together effectively? You basically always keeping Llanowar Elf on 1. Don't make my elves cry. Don't do it. Okay, it's not bad. So we Archdruid here, and then we make an elf with Imperious Perfect, I think. Archdruid means we should have mana to hoof them. So if I played this, Arc will be 5, and then I can still Craterhoof. Oof day it is. Lucky 13, I recall you mentioning you run MTGA through wine. I couldn't find a guide for that. Do you have one? Not a lot with wine. I'm actually back on a Windows machine for my day-to-day stuff for the last little bit, Antidux. But it does work well under wine. If you look up the application Lutris, it basically has a bunch of wrapper scripts for people that have created installers for games that work well under wine. So if you look up the Lutris installer for Magic Arena, it works quite well. Not quite sure what this opponent is doing. They played a couple of, well, they Thoughtseize, and they played some artifacts. When in doubt, linear them out is generally a good strategy. Might just click submit here. I think I'm just going to click submit. Is flooping the pig is an Adventure Time reference. No, there's not really a guide, Erdian. You literally just install Lutris and then click install Magic Arena and it works. Alright, so we'll bring in a Reclamation Sage for the next match, probably cut the finales. I'm just going to Wildborn Preserver here. I don't want to play Dwynen's Elite and have them kill my Shepherd in response. If they're more of a mid-range deck overall, I might want the Garruks as well. Ah, yes, the classic Robber of the Rich Flame Sweep deck. Crocs Robber of the Rich, also quality synergy. Cage Croxa. Our opponent. So I was trying to figure out if they were playing an aggro deck or a mid-range deck, but it turns out they're playing a combo deck. Little did we know that they were playing a combo deck the whole time. They actually abraded their own cage. Oh, magic. Oh, magic. What a game. Our opponent's too big brain for me, chat. I can't do it. Where's the polo? I will have you know that I am wearing a Pokemon shirt today because today was my children's first day of all virtual school. I wanted to make sure any other parents who saw me in the background knew what a dirty millennial I was. Charizard James wants to know where my Charizard shirt is. Username checks out. Hey, flame sweep these. Thanks. Hey, Ezio, thanks for the tip. I appreciate it. Praise Pikachu. God bless. Pika. By the way, speaking of the Pokemons, if you are one of my wonderful subs who plays Pokemon Go, you should definitely pop into the subscriber Discord server. We have a channel in there, and there's a role you can add yourself to. There's a bunch of us that do remote raids throughout the course of the day and the evening. Obviously, I don't do them while I'm streaming here, but my wife does a lot of them. Elvish Reads, thanks for the 4 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I think I'm just binning an Archdruid. Maybe I'm not supposed to bin Archdruid, so that means I die to... Binning the Archdruid means I lose to Flame Sweep, right? Which isn't good. Wait, are they dead? Because they keep their other types, right? So this will be a 7, and this will be a 5, a 6, right? I think this is legal. Yeah, okay. The first time playing this deck. This is our first time playing this deck on stream. Ephemeral, thanks for the 16 months. Elvish Rage username checks out. I don't know how I feel about this archetype. I feel like the types of decks that are likely to be good in a post-field historic are likely very bad matchups for this archetype. Like, I kind of expect this to get picked apart by mid-range, sweeper-based control, and Ugin ramp decks. We should end on a high note. We won. Now, I've only been going for 50 minutes. I like to try and go closer to 90. If our opponents ignore us, our deck seems very good. But if they have ways to disrupt our synergy, our individual card quality is kind of low. Yeah, this is definitely hand sucks keep territory. Beating Grixis isn't a high note, it's bullying. So one of the green ramp decks that's been going around is not an Ugin deck. It's just like a Nissa. It's a Nissa deck that plays 4 mana Karn. So this could be that. Could be an Ugin variation too. But there is a build going around that's not explicitly a deck.
Civilization has crept too far. Tear it down.
Tear it down. Oh, I'm definitely not playing around Ugin. We're definitely on the cross our fingers and hope plan. There's a deck similar to this that's good in Pioneer. Okay.
Tear you apart.
Do I trade an Allosaurus Shepherd for a 3/3 land tier? I think the answer is no. I think I do this now, because if I had Elvish Visionary, I could cantrip into... a thing. I think I'm playing this out now off the food as a chump blocker. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elves in play right now. Oh, they were just dead to Allosaurus Rider's activation, right? This matchup's probably okay for us. Our deck's pretty linear. These Wildborn Preservers have been pretty whatever, and Allosaurus Shepherd's been pretty good, so I think I'm going to go up to a 4th one of these after this game. I'm kind of expecting them to have Grafdigger's Cage. I'm going to bring in Rec Sage. Sounds good, Fuji. How do you know you don't have forwarding? The lettering is hard to make up. Hard to make out. Steel Leaf not in this list because field is no longer legal. I don't think Steel Leaf's very, very exciting. I'd rather go wide. My goal is to go wide, not tall. So what problem do I have that Steel Leaf is solving? We have one card slot here. If I cut those two, just play a 3rd Finale. It's kind of clunky though. Yeah, play like a 2-mana elf. I could go add a Gilded Goose, I suppose, too. I could main a Reclamation Sage. I don't hate that. Like to randomly tag Citadel's game 1. That's fine. Oops, all Celestials. Sounds good, Dude Light. Thank you for your generosity. Hope you're staying safe out there. It gives me an extra slot in the sideboard here. I kind of like these Garruk's Harbingers. I think I'm going to go up to 4 of those. I think it's one of our better cards in the control matchups. You like Shaper, Sanctuary, and the side for the Mayhem double matchups. Is that better than just playing Primal Might? Like, wouldn't I rather just kill them? I guess if you have a Shaper, Sanctuary in play... If you have Shaper's Sanctuary in play... You draw cards as they kill your things, then you kill it afterwards. Not in love with heroic intervention. Yeah, we'll try a couple sheepers. I could see Steel Leaf being good in the burn matchup. Just having large bodies there is good. Seems like a reasonable conclusion. Can a mod make a command about the buggy viewer count on Twitch for the day? Please and thank you. Howdy, Conch. Are we having fun? This is what the people that want to Field of the Dead Band wanted, chat. This is what they were asking for. And if they didn't realize they were asking for this, then they weren't smart enough to be making recommendations of what they want banned from the format. It's like Brexit all over again. It's a Plat playing Howled One. Sick. He playing a cycling aggro variation subset or something else. Yes, the one small bit of good we can say is they at least had the decency to ban it today instead of waiting till Thursday. Isn't this fun? I'm really glad their lands aren't making zombies at least, though. Are they out of stuff? I think they might be out of stuff, chat. Oh gosh, I love when they don't have stuff, chat. Howdy, 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 hi. Odie, 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 oh. Oh, yeah. Hoof day it is. So, Shaper Sanctuary and Harbinger are our card advantage things that we're bringing in. Need 3 more cuts here. Honestly, it might just be these pieces at top end. Like, I know Craterhoof Behemoth, like, punked them out in that game, but, like, Allosaurus Shepherd does a similar Craterhoof Behemoth impression. And, like, we're even more likely to get picked apart post-board. What's going on, Waffle? Oh, yeah. Thought sees me, Daddy. You know, just what I like. Delicious. For people that are new to Magic, if you're not sure how to mulligan against Thoughtseize decks, it's very easy. Don't. Yeah, I'm on 4 Shepherds. I started on 3, I added the 4th. That's rough. It's pretty punishing for my sequencing. It's a good draw, though. Vegda! Thanks for the 34 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. They block here, they take 10, they go to 4. Probably not. Corvex, thanks for the 25 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, really wanted to draw an Archdruid last turn. I think the game's done now. At least their deck has the decency to not leave us in garbage time for too long. I like your commentary. Thanks.
If you show remorse, keep up the pace.
Blessing Jeffrey seems a little ambitious here. I feel like they're supposed to tuck something in. Like the Imperious Perfect.
We need to move quickly.
Welcome to my domain, Planeswalker. Your heroics are but a dream to me.
But a dream to me. Alright. I mean, I haven't conceded yet, Chewy. Listen, if I'm not conceding a game, we're definitely still in it. If I think we're completely out of a game, I'll concede. It just feels bad. Because playing against this type of deck feels bad. Yeah, I disagree that we're in garbage time until they have the sweeper. It's just because, again, and that's why I think, like, the the polarization talk in the ban list update is like, it's a load of nonsense, because there's a lot of polarizing feel bad things in these Magic formats, and Field of the Dead is like far from the primary one. Like, you have to understand that, like, when you're playing against archetypes like what this opponent is playing, it feels bad even when you're winning. Because you basically don't get to play with your cards. They're like counterspelling you and discarding you. If their deck is even functioning a little bit, they're taking away a lot of your choices. Can you get turn one Thoughtseize? Yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why cards like Thoughtseize don't exist in most other card games, chat. This type of effect is very unique to Magic. And again, like I said, these matches don't tend to be very interesting. They tend to involve very little player agency. They generally almost always involve someone getting slaughtered on one side or the other. It's like, do they have the Cry or the Sweeper? If yes, I very likely lose. If they don't, I run them down. I'm gonna call that garbage time. Yu-Gi-Oh! Banned their version of Thoughtseize. That doesn't surprise me. I feel like any game designer that cares about the designs of their game would get rid of an effect like that. That's your opinion on Thoughtseize specifically, or discard spells in general? I'm going to give you a good generic. In my opinion, things that constitute good game design give both players choices to make. Targeted discard spells like Inquisition, Thoughtseize, Thought Erasure, these things serve to explicitly remove choices from one side of the board. Yeah, a card design that some people in chat that have heard me talk about this before, the card Blackmail, I think is actually the best designed discard spell that exists in Magic, which explains why they don't print it, why it exists in an Onslaught, and that's it. Blackmail is a good example of a card that gives both players meaningful decisions to make. probably trash. Lador. Effects like that tend to not be playable, in my experience. There's Lovestruck Beast in the sideboard for red aggro. So you just like have a 5/5 to block. Do I have a commander deck? No, commander's too expensive to play casually. So even in the before times when I could have people over, you can see there's a giant wall of board games behind me. We largely play board games with my friend group and not Magic. I think I'd rather just have 2 lords here rather than the Visionary that cantrips. Visionary. Vision is scary. Start a revolution. Polluting the airwaves. Such a catastrophe. I keep my lords around here. They're gonna have Luris into replay something from their bin, which is a little scary. I guess we're gonna be in a position where we force a bunch of chump blocks. Kind of hoping to draw another land next turn so we can go company plus a 1-mana spell. Does Yu-Gi-Oh have a digital client? Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh actually has a really good digital client. I installed it on mobile so my kids could play with it at one point, and I was really impressed. Alright, we're done with elves. I'm done. I can't. And what? So, like, I'm not crazy, right, chat? I'm gonna put this at the very top of the screen. I'm gonna get rid of all my overlay elements. Is there a button on this window that lets me concede? There used to be a settings wheel right up here, right? I'm not just missing it, it's just gone. They just deleted it. There used to be a wheel here, right? I'm not crazy, they just got rid of it. This is all arena. All my elements are gone. You can see everything on the screen. I can hit escape and I can hit concede. But like, why do I have to do that? Why did we get rid of the user interface thing that used to be there? I felt kind of underwhelmed by this deck. I think the good summary of this archetype is the summary of a lot of decks that just aren't playable under the fire design that exists in Magic today. This deck is a deck that relies very heavily on synergies between its cards to be playable, and because you just get picked apart and your cards end up being individually weak, this archetype does not really feel good enough. Collected Company is definitely an upgrade. I definitely feel like this card helps a lot. Yeah, maybe it might be worth revisiting this when we get Elvish Mystic and we get Shaman of the Pack. Shaman of the Pack, for people that aren't familiar with that, this was a card that was a big part of what made Elves playable in Modern. It really gave you another form of reach. So you splash black a little bit for this card. So it lets your collected companies like burn people out from high life totals. So I think once this card was in Magic Origin, so it's definitely coming to the format eventually. So once we get this and we get a second 1-mana elf accelerant, like when we have like 12 good 1-mana elves, we get 4 Allosaurus Shepherds, 4 this for Mystics. I think this archetype's worth revisiting, but I think from a competitive, feels good to play standpoint, I don't think I would recommend this one in its current state. I think it's just not quite good enough. All right, we've got a third Magic deck coming up here today before we shift gears to Runeterra. We're gonna play a bit of a brew here. We've got Jeskai, Chance for Glory, which we are pairing with Gideon of the Trials and his emblem. So we're gonna meme a little bit with this. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.